Welcome to the Confident Grief Coach Show.
Hi, I am Pat Shevland, founder of the Confident Grief Coach School.
And I'm Cami Thielander, Advanced Certified Grief Coach and founder of Embodied Grief Support Coaching.
We believe as professionals, it is important to have a forum where we can gather as a community to really talk about all things body, mind, and spirit when it comes to grief.
We will be sharing stories, discussing thought-provoking ideas, and interviewing others who work in the field of grief and those who have the lived experience of creating lives of peace and purpose after experiencing deep loss.
Information about Cami's Embodied Grief Support Coaching Services or the Confident Grief Coach Certification Program can be found in our show notes below.
Thank you for joining us at the Confident Grief Coach Show. And if you like what you're hearing or would like us to focus on a specific topic in the future, please hit the like and subscribe button to stay connected.
Hi, Cami. How are you doing today?
Hi, Pat. I'm feeling better now that it's springtime.
I know. I know. You and I just briefly talked, and it's like, oh, we have to talk about springtime because there's something about springtime that just really changes everything up. So, do you mind if I just share before we dive right in? I did some reflection this morning because I woke up and it was a blue sky. It was beautiful, but it's cold. It's very, very cold here in Minnesota. Whereas yesterday when I woke up, it was like the clouds were just flying by really fast as I looked out my window. So I just want to share with you a little bit of my thoughts because it may help foster more of our conversation about springtime and change.
Yeah, please share.
So the sun is shining, not a cloud in the sky, but cold. Brr. The birds are starting to show up one by one. Spring is officially here. The time of rebirth, new life, still pulsating between winter and warmth. Spring keeps us on our toes, vacillating between still going within a bit when the external energy is bitter cold and swirling, and then emerging into the warmth when the sun shines brightly and the energy of hope fills the air. So I just really felt like this morning that it was like spring is like it's that transitory time, right? So talk to me a little bit about springtime from your vantage point and how it equates with hope and grief and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That was beautiful. I love that. Just, yeah, it points to that cold bitterness of like, no, it still kind of feels like winter time, and I want to be tucked away and cozy and in that little inner retreat that I go into, especially when I'm having, a lot of grief or emotional stressors in my life. I definitely shell like that. But then also like stepping out into that sunlight and like welcoming the warmth and this rebirth and this new energy that we get to step into. And we're in this goofy stage here, especially in the northern hemisphere up in Minnesota. It's like, is it spring or is it winter? Like one day it'll be sunny and warm and the next it's snowing. And I think that speaks to like our grief process and how when we're in these different seasons of our grief, how one day or 1 minute we can be so deep in those cold, dark, windy, like retreat spaces where we just want to block out the world and be left alone in our little corner. And that feels like winter. And then it's like the next day or even the next hour, we could be like so relieved and wanting to go out into the world and wanting to connect and wanting to feel that light and that lightheartedness that comes with that too. So yeah, I've been reflecting on that as well and have had my own personal experiences this week that definitely reflect that energy of like 1 minute I'm deep in my winter and the next I'm out in the sunshine. And
Yeah.
I love that it's like, especially when we're thinking about the grief process, how it changes so quick like this in these transition phases.
Well, that's what I was thinking about yesterday is I was looking out my window. I have a window in front of me and it was windy yesterday. So there's a lot of wind up where I'm at and it was a blue sky and then these beautiful clouds but they were like going by so fast. And I thought, I'm just going to like stare at these clouds and they morphed and they shifted, they shape shifted. They just did like this amazing stuff. And then all of a sudden, big bank of clouds comes in and it's dark, and they're gray. And
Mm.
I'm like, oh, what does that mean? And then it covers up the sun. And then those moved on by really fast. And then more blue sky shows. And that I was thinking about the grieving process with that. It's like, okay, 1 minute it can seem like everything is hunky-dory and we're just moving along and everything is fine. And boom, we get this cloud of darkness that comes, feels like out of nowhere and very swiftly. But when we have the tools and some practice, right, in using tools and understanding ourselves, those clouds can move, we can shift through those and we can shape shift a little bit, right? Our energy and where we're at. So, yeah, that was a thought I had yesterday.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And I love that even through that you kind of showcased a tool that people can turn to. It's like observing, like you said, you're sitting there and you're watching those clouds come in, or you're observing how beautiful this moment of sunshine is. And it's like that practice of being present with all of it and reflecting on, wow, what does this mean? Like, I'm watching this, come over me. This is the experience I'm having right now. And look, it's changing. And to kind of be present with all of those changes so that we can identify, okay, well, do I need to go grab my rain jacket? Do I need to go inside and go into the basement if there's going to be a big storm? Or can I, is it nice enough to go out barefoot in the grass? I think like when we're thinking of tools with our grief process, a lot of it really is starting with that observing and
Hmm.
noticing those weather patterns instead of trying to distract and trying to avoid the process. How can we be with the process
Oh, I
and
love that. Yeah.
witness those weather patterns, and then decide, how do we need to prepare for this?
I never thought about that yesterday, but yeah, I just decided, I'm just gonna watch. And I didn't put any emotion or thought into those dark clouds. It was just like,
Mhm.
wow, those are really dark and they're really thick. And then I was like, wow, look at how fast they're moving, because that was what kind of mesmerized me yesterday is the movement. And I kept thinking, with it was spring, the first day of spring in the northern hemisphere, right? And we're going from winter to spring, and we had talked about that earlier, the shape shifting, and we don't know from one day to the next because we're still in that a little bit of tumultuous weather patterns,
Mhm.
because even in nature we have that, right? And so just observing, yeah, observing and being curious about it for ourselves and allowing, just allowing is just like so important to allow these, excuse me, energy and the feelings to be with us and pass through us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To observe that and to witness that and to be present for it and to feel it. I think I get this imagery of like when we're in that torrential downpour of like a grief burst. A couple hours ago, I was sobbing my eyeballs out, and it was like, all right, here I am for this like downpour. And to create that time and space to be with that downpour and to allow it and to observe it and feel it, like you said, was very necessary for me because I think, I needed to allow myself that space to go and like be drenched by that
Hmm.
emotion. When a couple hours before that, I was um trying to stay busy. Like, I don't have time for my grief right now. I just need to get to
Right.
work. And
Right.
and it's like then we're running through this rainstorm trying to pretend like it's not raining. And it's like that's not helpful because now I'm drenched anyway and I'm not taking care of myself in that storm. So that was just kind of came to mind as far as like, wow, when we can observe there's the rain cloud coming in, what can I do for myself now to prepare? And then to just like be in that weather pattern, whatever that looks like, can be really powerful and can allow us to move through that so that we're not like trying to run away from the storm
Yep.
because that doesn't
I
work.
love showers when those torrential
Ooh.
emotions like come. I remember when my mom died and I would just get in those engulfing, sobbing, like just, oh my gosh. And I would just go into a warm shower
Mm.
and just allow the water just rain upon me and allow the tears to just mix with that. And I wouldn't soap up, I wouldn't do anything. I would just sit there under this warm, nurturing water and allow my tears to just like flow and be out loud and do whatever I need to do. Because no, it was my private space. So my showers are my catharsis when it comes to like deep grieving and needing to just really express myself. And then it goes down the drain. And,
Right.
by the time I'm done, it's like, okay, I towel off and okay, I can breathe again.
A little reset. Yeah, the water is so nourishing for our emotions. I definitely love to, put myself near the ocean or a lake or go
Yeah.
swimming or take a shower, a bath. The water, especially when, I mean, we are beings full of water, and that energetic, that energy of the water, moves through us tears through our bodies. So I think that's
Yep.
beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, so we talk a lot about, what we can be doing. I wanted to talk a little bit about Qigong, the 5 element Qigong theory
Yeah, tell
and
me about
what springtime means. So in the spring, when we go through that equinox and we get into spring, our liver energy goes on duty.
it. Hmm.
So our liver energy is that detoxifier, right? So just think about it like in the winter, we go in deep. Think about nature, everything's like buried deep, right? Been kind of staying there stagnant for a while, right? We've been in the deep of it, buried. And then all of a sudden springtime comes and it's like, okay, the little thing buds are starting to burst and little things are starting to come up through the grasses and that type of thing. The birds are starting to get out and fly around and not be hunkered down as long with a lot of the animals. And it's like it's that detoxifier. It's time to shut off all that stuff that's kind of been we've been steeping
Mhm.
in, through the winter. And so the liver energy is wonderful, but if we get blocked in our liver energy, that can create some real health challenges, like from the liver system, the gallbladder, that type of thing. But the energy, the emotion that is like attached to the liver energy is anger, the not so positive. And so if we have a lot of anger within us, that can create blockages in our liver energy. And that's where addictions may show up and different things like that because we're suppressing, a lot of times people who suppress their anger will bring it in. And I've been recently listening to a book and oh gosh, I just forgot his name and I know his name. Oh, Gabor Mate. And so the myth of normal. And he talks about reading well, I saw him on YouTube where he's reading obituaries where people are like all these accolades about these beautiful people who have died. And when you read about it's like they've been suppressing their emotions because they were the best and the sweetest and the
Mhm.
kindest, and they never said an unkind word. And so, but yet they're dying from cancer and different things like that. Or, there may be other disease processes like chemical dependency and different
Mhm.
things like that. So just, that's one of the things in grief. We know that a lot of people, any one of us, and it's not addictions to drugs or alcohol, it can be, different types of addiction challenges,
Mhm.
that we're grieving. And it's like, oh, I want to go on a shopping spree because that's filling a hole in my heart. Or I want to be eating, this really good, comfy, high carb foods, that's to insulate my body from this and kind of stuffing it down versus expressing ourselves. And so I just wanted to bring that up that anger is healthy.
Mhm.
All our emotions are healthy. And so if we can express it in a healthy way, whether it's in the shower, whether it's going outside and just like, "Wah," any way that works for us versus, harming ourselves or others is very, very important so that we open up that and keep that liver energy system open and flowing because it really is our
Mhm.
detoxifier. It helps us to stay healthy. So that's my little 5 element thing for the day.
That's so curious. I'm reflecting on that in my own process as you're sharing that, because I had an episode this week as well that a lot of anger was coming out, and I was just I I'm not one to like I don't yell at people, especially like I don't often allow myself that space to express my anger verbally. And some frustration and anger was coming out of me towards work and my laptop and some technology. And I was just like stomping around, like really just like being pissed about my whole life at this
Yeah.
point. It was just like that one little thing with my technology problem was creating this now opportunity for me to just let it rip. And like I found myself just like rambling and yelling and spewing, and it felt really good. And I was like, oh, I'm detoxing. Like just like how you said, it was like instead of trying to go to bed and like bottling that up, at the end of the day, like I really did sleep a lot better and felt a lot of relief in my throat after being
Mm-hmm.
able to, that tightness of the tears and the anger that
Express
we just
it.
kind of, yeah,
Yeah.
like I was able to just allow myself that process, rather than thinking that it's bad to be angry about this and I just need to calm down or I just need to go to bed. It was like, no, what I really needed was to throw a temper tantrum and then I could go to bed and I felt
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. And so, for anybody who's listening, I mean, anger is a healthy emotion. We have all these emotions for reasons.
Mhm.
So, be okay with letting it out. You don't have to stuff it down, where a lot of us have been taught to stuff it down. It's not nice to get mad, or you shouldn't show
Right.
when you're angry at someone else. Oh, that's not appropriate. It totally is appropriate as long as we're not hurting ourselves or others. So go to a private place where you can just allow it. If you need to swear and the Effenheimer at your
Mhm.
computer, do it. If someone is really like frustrating you because you don't feel like they're there for you in your grief, instead of throwing it all on them, go and journal out your anger. Write a letter to them that you don't have to send. There's just so many things you can do. Go outside, breathe, breathe, but you can breathe angry breaths too. Right? And just, allow that to come through. So I think that there's a lot of really cool things that we can do. And Cami and I are more than happy. Just reach out to us. Our information are in the show notes, but we'd be more than happy to give you little pointers. That's what we're here for.
Yes, yeah. And speaking of anger as well, I have created this rage ceremony that I've been loving and I've been
Ooh,
practicing for myself lately. And it, like you said, it's like these tools that we can turn to with, I use movement, sound, and breath. So it's all about how can we create like a little sacred temper tantrum to express our grief and to
ooh.
just lean into that like fiery energy. So that just came to mind as like a tool that I'm really loving walking my clients through because it's like when we can give permission for this process and allow for that heat and that fire to come through to be expressed, like that's powerful. And I think now this extra daylight of spring kind of moving out of winter is like stirring up some of this heat and
Hmm.
creating a little bit more of that fire. And it's like, ooh, what do we do with it? Let's find some spaces to let it rip.
Oh, I love that. So if someone's like really curious about this rage ceremony, where should they get in contact with you? What's the best way?
Yeah, feel free to reach out to me. I guess I can throw my email in the show notes or something. I also have a YouTube channel that I made a rage ceremony video, so you can check that out as well.
Oh,
So maybe we can link that as well.
oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. I also have a grief group that I'm starting where we're doing these practices to allow that space for expression, whether it's, anger or pain or sadness or creating space for just that transformation through movement, sound, and breath. So that's a resource as well. I can share some information on that, but that'll be launching in a couple weeks here.
Oh, yay, yay, yay. So we'll when she launches that, we do these every week. So we'll make sure that we get that to you. But reach out to Cami. Her information's in the show notes. But reach out to her if you are interested in any of this. I mean, who wouldn't want to go into a rage ceremony? I can't wait to watch this video. So we'll point to that direction too. What's the name of your YouTube channel?
Embodied grief support.
Embodied grief support. So let's go there and make sure that you like that, subscribe to that too, so that you have access to some of these really cool tools that Cami because I'm going to go over there today and I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, it's really fun. And I'm posting all kinds of resources like that. I'm very much, yeah, getting into the body and being there for that downpour or for that, for that expression of anger. I think when we can create those spaces to just be here for that and allow for that expression, that can be really powerful. So
Oh, I just love it. And I just have to say this real quick before we sign off. So, for those of you who don't know, we actually, like in the Confident Grief Coach program, we run our human design and we have some knowledge of human design. And Cami and I are manifesting generators. And so this is really cool because you're seeing her manifestation, which is both using anger and frustration. So she talked a little bit about that. So, and it looks like she might have froze. So we're going to say bye, and everything will be in the show notes. Talk to you later. Bye bye.